Hello and welcome everyone to round 17, the final round of Race Department's Formula FG Championship Season 4. I'm your host Aidan Kerrinan, and it has taken a very long time to get to this point, but we are finally there. This time it should work. We tried it in December, obviously that's quite a while ago now, where we weren't able to get it to work, which is quite a shame, as opposed to then, when we had numerous people. We've only got myself this time, so it's going to be an empty commentary box for the finale, which is something that we haven't had many times previously. Can't do too much about that. Nonetheless, if we have a look at qualifying then, and Tapio Rinjaho has taken a surprise pole ahead of Yol Rautavaara, Pablo Deal, and the returning Omar Saeed. Now this is incredibly important that Rinjaho is able to get this sort of start, because anything less than a win isn't good enough for him. He needs to win this race. He is 19 points behind Yol Rautavaara. If he wins this race, Yol must finish 6th or higher. If he finishes 7th, he will lose on countback 5 wins to 4. So on Rautavaara's shoulders, it is very important. That being said, at the same time, if Rinjaho does not win, it doesn't matter. Rautavaara can finish 1st, he can finish 3rd, he can finish 10th, he can finish, or he can not finish. Does not matter in the slightest. So that's the state of the Drivers' Championship. Further back as well, Pablo Deal starting 3rd at the moment, and Manolis Sigalakis, who will be starting 6th place alongside Mane Goddard in 5th. They are battling for 3rd place in the drivers' title. There's only 11 points between those two drivers, so compared to the fight for the drivers' title, it's a much closer affair. So let's see now. Finishing off qualifying, James McNamara in 7th, Rui Martins in 8th, Sasha Jednak in 9th, Ben Utzer completing the top 10 for Razor. And something else to keep in mind, it's 2 other battles of significance. For 2nd place overall in the Constructors' Championship, Apex does have a 36-point lead over 2KF1, which means that 2KF1 will need to do the unthinkable in getting a 1-2 finish to give themselves any sort of hope of picking that up, or a 1-3 finish. They will need to win the race, that being said. And then also DTK and Black Box Racing battling for 5th place in the Constructors' Championship, 126 points versus 123. DTK leading that one. DTK drivers Daniel Harvey and Aaron Reed, as per usual, will be starting in 21st and 22nd, but we're expecting to see them move through, whereas the Black Box racers, Goddard and Jednak, starting both inside the top 10, 5th and 9th. We can see there that there is going to be a bit of rain. Pretty sure it's going to be wet on the grid as we'll head over to it. This is going to be one hell of a race, guys. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. The Brazilian Grand Prix for Season 4, the finale. Welcome then to the grid. As you can see, is quite wet as we expected as we get to 3, 4 lights, 5 lights now. The finale is on. We are underway here in Brazil. So far it seems like it's a pretty good start there for Rinjaho indeed. Rautavaara has gone a little bit backwards. Going into turn 1, Rinjaho has the lead. Deal going to slice up the inside of Rautavaara, and he's through as well. Rinjaho racing into the distance as Rautavaara down into 3rd. Goddard's moved up into 5th now, with Saeed just sliding back rather, as he makes his return to the championship. Rautavaara, they're having to defend from Goddard, setting the pack a little bit bunched all of a sudden. Sigalakis moving up, Rui Martins is there. He's moved up a position ahead of McNamara. Jednak and Kerrinan is ahead of his teammate as well. As we go back to the front though, Rinjaho looking in control. He's ahead of Pablo Deal, who will be looking for a good result here at his home race. Remains to be seen, though, what will he do in the position that Rinho could be winning the championship? Will he still go for the win? Obviously, that is exactly what Rinho needs. Or will he let his teammate have the championship? Possibly. Still, that's a lot of ifs and buts and umming and ahhing. And so far, it's just looking really good for Rinho. He's doing everything he needs to. Here comes Mane Goddard. He's going to come up the inside here of Yoel Ratavara, and he's actually, so far, he's going to make it stick. So, Mane Goddard up into third place. And Ratavara now under a little bit of pressure. That is Omar Saeed just behind him, his teammate. He's looking for a result on his return to the championship, and there's Sigalakis just behind trying to make something happen himself. And Saeed has not been able to get it done, so he'll just fall back again. It's great to see Omar back. Final race of the season, still a very good car. He might be feeling a little bit out of sorts sitting in the cockpit, however. So we'll see. Maybe he can get himself towards the podium. A win seems rather unlikely, but it would be very well received by the paddock and by his team. Doesn't matter really who wins as long as it's not Rinho in their books. As Goddard there just coming through. Left hand corner down the hill. Now he'll start to make his way up. As we are once again in Interlagos, our long-term partner for the final race of the season, Formula FG. Rinho another fast lap of the race, obviously this time the first proper fast lap. Deal looking not too bad here. He's keeping up with Rinho, so definitely the Falcons are looking for this race. So we can see moving up, Goddard definitely has done well. Jednak has fallen back 3 positions there. So that looks like it's Sigalakis having a look at Saeed. I think McNamara had gotten past Martins as well, yes indeed. Stefan Berner, by the looks of it, moving up as well. Nathan Corns has fallen back 5 positions in his Raven West. Not exactly the title defense that Corns was looking for this season. This here is the cars that took him to the title, the Razors. It's Karanen looking back towards Utsa. Another fast lap of the race there for Rinho. Goddard definitely moving at this point. Does seem to be a little bit lighter on fuel than some of the other cars around him. See what that means for him in the long term. This is going to probably be a wet-dry race, so we might see that some cars are diving into the pits at the most inopportune times. And they pick up perhaps a new set of wet tyres, and that's going to be the story of the day, most likely, and could even be the story of the championship should somebody make the call. They come into pit. If they had waited 2 laps, they would have been absolutely perfect. Who knows? Also means that those that are maybe are a little bit lighter on fuel, it might be a little bit better for them. It might be worse for them as well. It all depends as to when the rain stops. If it starts to stop raining right before their pit stop, they've nailed it. They were on exactly the right strategy. They're on the fastest possible strategy that they could have been. Rain stops, new tires, more fuel, easy peasy, they move on. The ones that were fueled heavier now, they'll have to come in. They've already gone slower in their first stint. And they'll also have to make the decision, do they run it to the end of the tank or do they come in straight away? I mean, once it's really starting to get dry, you can't stay on wet tyres. I was looking back now, and that's one of the DTKs. That's Harvey that's got himself up to 17th already. Reed just behind in 19th. It's gone past Mishra. Here's Pablo Deal. Here is Daniel Harvey, in fact. Just behind Sasha Yednak, who has been overtaken once more. Looks like by one of the Jaws cars. Harvey just slowly pulling onto the back of that black box. But Rinho doing a fantastic job so far. He's pulling away from his teammates, so there's absolutely no problem for him. Just setting fastest lap after fastest lap. He's doing everything that he possibly can. Could we see a Massa and Hamilton incident? Who knows? Vaguely reminiscent of it, although will be dry by the stage of the race that they'll be finishing, I imagine. It is, of course, 100% race distance. Which could mean that there are some cars out there that are going to struggle a little bit. Here is Saeed and Sigalakis. Saeed definitely hasn't lost any of his defending ability. Here is Noack in 11th. Whoop, just goes a little bit wide. Come back onto the circuit, he'll lose one position to Stefan Berner. Teo Heymans, his teammate just behind. As we will now have a little bit of a look, and it seems both the Falcons are on a same fueling strategy. Oh, there you go, Ratabara. Heavily fueled compared to a lot of others, so that could come back to bite him in the long term. Could also work out very well for him. Remains to be seen. Indeed, Yednak is on a similar strategy as well. He's going even longer. And there you go, Nathan Corns going the longest of all by far. And he has fallen back into 22nd place. Combination of wet track and very heavy fuel. And he has lost 10 positions so far this race, and we're only at 6.5 laps through. But after that initial challenge by Saeed early on, Ratabara has been looking strong and in control, minding his own business. It will do him very well. One-stop strategy. Pretty sure it has worked here previously. Don't think it was a 100% race, but has worked in the past, and no doubt Apex are looking to be able to get Yoel in as best as possible, get him out there once more. It all comes down to when the rain could stop. I mean, if it's in between, if it's before Ratabara stops his first time, no problems. If it's after, ooh, big problems there for Apex if that were to be the case. Here's Donald Brugman. Looking to make his way up, and he will go past Yednak. So the heavy fuel not really working out. Not at this rate anyway, we're still inside the first 10 laps, so don't expect to see too much happening. Riniho there. Might have been a little bit of a slide through the first corner. Here's Sigalakis. Now he's going to have another look at Saeed. Long way down the inside. It's all about traction now. And he seems to have gotten it done. So Sigalakis moving up into 5th. We'll see if... Oh, no, Saeed is under pressure now from McNamara. So the two KF1s trying the 1-2 punch there. Couldn't quite get it done, but it has released Sigalakis then. We'll be looking to race after Rautavaara. Definitely Saeed so far is doing a pretty good job of just holding up a lot of the challenges. Riniho, there you go. 4.5 seconds ahead of Deal. He is chasing his first title. He wants this first title. And he's leaving it all on the track. First Finn to the finish. Almost wins the title. And it's down. Back straight come the drivers. That's Harvey looking to move up into 15th, and indeed he will. Moves past Kadera, I believe that was. Indeed. Goddard finds himself comfortably ahead of Rautavaara. In fact, Rautavaara's got to be just a little bit careful that Riniho doesn't get that far ahead that he's almost got himself that pit stop in hand, in which case he will be definitely going a lot faster than the heavily fueled Apex. That being said, there need to be drivers that get in between him and Riniho. So, I mean, it's definitely Rautavaara is in absolute control here, but one spin and it could all go horribly wrong. first corner then. Slipping and sliding. Back to Rinho, you can see the gap there. Back to Deal. As McNamara has gone past Omar Saeed, though they're battling. Nope, McNamara will hold that, so the 2KF1 is through. Which does mean that Martins, Kernan, Utsa, and possibly even Berno lining up next to take a pot shot at the apex. Sigalakis is absolutely reeled in Rautavaara, as you'd expect. The Apex might be an absolutely fantastic car, but you pile on half the race distance worth of fuel and it'll become a dog. Any car just won't work. So we'll keep an eye on this a little bit as Rautavaara, it's down to less than a second between him and Sigalakis. His best bet will be to just let Sigalakis through. It's not his race. Down to 7/10 of a second. See, Martins has had enough by the looks of it to just keep the races behind. Whether he can actually get enough to be able to make a challenge onto Saeed. Got to watch out. Here we go. Harvey's already up into 12th. And he'll start picking off that group ahead of him. And that's really dangerous. You don't want the DT... If you're in the Apex pit at the moment, you don't want the DTKs to make too much room, too much ground up into the top 10. They've got a fast enough car. You know, Rautavaara is playing a very safe game with a very high fuel load. He's not going to be able to defend, and if both of the DTKs sneak into the top 5, Stefan Berner there getting sideways. If both the DTKs sneak into the top 5, you're in a lot of strife. Because that could well be both Falcons, both DTKs. There you're looking at 5th place. If Sigalakis is up there, if Goddard is up there, possibly McNamara, you got to start looking at that. They could well be in about 7th place with Rautavaara, and that is championship gone. As that was Rautavaara being overtaken, so he falls back into 5th place. As Sigalakis now going to look to chase down Goddard, 8.1 seconds up the road. As they go, Harvey right onto the back of Stefan Berner. And definitely it seems that Rautavaara is some 21 seconds behind Tapio Rinho. Right in that danger zone of where the pit stop advantage is not going to be, it's just not going to be there. As Saeed now into the pit lane. I have to go back now. What has possibly happened there? Or is it... No, I think he was called in. As was Kernan. So this is an interesting development actually. Could this be jumping onto different set of tyres? Yeah, indeed, and the entire field is starting to stream in. A lot of cars, a lot of drivers are coming in for it then, so it was hurting some of them. Wasn't a great stop there for Saeed. Noak had a pretty decent stop, but he's having to wait in lane for everyone to go through. Daniel Harvey has been hit pretty hard with that one as well. Corns comes in. Rinyaho going to come in right now, and what are they going to do with Deal? I think Deal's going to go another lap, so that could hurt his chances today. Rinyaho now coming up the pit lane. Here comes Goddard as well. Rautavaara has decided to not come in. Rinyaho seems to be out without any delay. Goddard in, Sigalakis, Utsa, Burner. Rob Sharp making up a little bit of ground there as a result. So I'm not sure exactly what they were being called in for, but whatever it was, Apex have decided that Rautavaara isn't needed. At least not at this point. Deal, he's right behind Nathan Corns. See if he'll get out the way. No, indeed, Deal is going to dive into the pit lane. Watching now to see if Rautavaara will do the same. Yes, indeed he will. So in comes Rautavaara. McNamara will follow in as well. Deal will come in. This is not too bad for those that went on the lighter fuel. This is pretty good timing, as it seems the rain has gotten heavier. So now Rautavaara, he'll trundle up the pit lane. Still heavily laden. I think the good thing for him is that there aren't too many others that are still needing to come in. A little bit of a top up on fuel as well, so he's still going to have to pit another time. He's down into 5th. A lot of cars now fueled on very similar strategies, so Rautavaara is actually on the norm. Apex have done a good job. He'll be effectively 4th when Sharp will have to pit. Interesting that Falcon have gone for a different strategy. They're fueling a lot less, so they're looking for a faster middle stint. There's Saeed. And chased down by Karen and Utzes, not too far behind as well. Haymans. Kadera, Burner, Martins, Mishra, Lasky, Reed, Noak. Daniel Harvey has fallen a long way back after all of that. Didn't work too well for him. He was on a really good roll. Brugman, Jednak, and then Corns, who is a long way at the back. Rob Sharp, clearly Entech here, starting to run a little bit longer.
Pit this lap.
And he will come in this lap, and it's probably not going to be too bad for him. He's running a lot lighter than a lot of other cars, so he might make up a little bit of ground as to where he was previously. There you go, he's into the pit lane. Rativar is still some 20 odd seconds behind. Here comes Harvey down the inside. Very late move, but very well done. And Sharp does go back down to 20th, so probably didn't work out too well for him. Sereniho now still continuing to stretch out his lead, though. Does become a problem for them with Rautavaara holding down 4th at the moment, and a lot of cars behind him on very similar fuel loads, in which case it comes down to car speed as to who's going to come out of that on top. As Saeed, they're going to be overtaken by Keranen. Ooh, Erna once again sideways. A little bit of oversteer on the brakes there, same as before. Gets away with it. So far, he has lost a bit of time, and he's under a lot of pressure now from Rui Martins. He'll deal now. Can see the gap to Rinyaho ahead of him. Being clocked in at 6.5 seconds. It's the same distance back to Goddard, who's then 11.5 ahead of Rautavaara. As Sigalakis bearing down on him, once again Sigalakis is a little bit lighter on fuel. McNamara, on the other hand, is not. Very similar. Keranen similar as well, if not a little bit less. Which do become talking points. You would imagine Sigalakis is going to give it a red-hot chance of being able to overtake Rautavaara. Ardennes starting lap 22 now. The race is definitely starting to progress, and if anything, the range seems to be definitely dying down. So we could be expecting to see that dry tyres could be on the way very soon, everybody. And that does mean those that have taken the shorter fuel stint at the moment will be at a better advantage. Because it does seem to be, as Reed there, ducking and weaving, trying to get down the inside there of Lasky. Does seem that by the time you get in towards turn 4, rain does seem to be dying down a little bit. Oop, as Sigalakis going wide there. As I think Rautavaara might have as well. We do have a yellow flag and try to see where that was. So Sigalakis just goes straight on understeering. Rautavaara does virtually the same thing at the next corner, so any advantage that he gained from Sigalakis making the mistake is now gone, as well as McNamara does close in a little bit as well. Now let's go back and try to find here we go, Martins and Stefan Berner. A little bit of a touch heading into turn 4. Around they go, and they are both going to be there for a little bit. So that's going to help some of these other cars back here. Reed, definitely. And Harvey having to go through less people to get towards the front. So Martin's got himself going again. Stefan Berner will fall down to 22nd place. I believe that was a battle for 11th or so. 12th perhaps, yeah. So not the finale that Berner would have wanted. He was looking pretty good. Just look at this. Doesn't seem to be any rain on the camera lens here. Back to... Let's strive to find if there's anywhere. No, so it does seem that the rain has stopped here at Interlagos. Which is good news for drivers such as Mane Goddard, Pablo Deal, Tapio Rinyaho, who've been maximizing their speed on this tyre. For drivers such as Rautavaara, they must be thinking, oh shit. Sigalakis, McNamara, Karen, they're all fueled a little bit more. Teo Heymans, he won't be minding it. Kadera not too bad. Mishra will be pretty happy. Reed, Harvey, they think of how many positions they could be moving up had they been on the same sort of strategy as the leaders. Sharp took a low fuel load, as did Martins. That explains his speed. And so did Berner. So the two that came together and spun off the track would have been relishing this situation right now. As this track will dry out, and it will dry out quick. Here's Nowak, and indeed Donald Brugman, although this is an electrical problem. So this is not a strategy call. This is not Jaws deciding to pull the trigger and jump onto dry tyres or even intermediates. This is necessitated by an electrical problem. Although it does seem like another set of wet tyres. So they haven't taken the opportunity for anything, as Saeed there, overtaken by Utsa. It's not something Apex want to know about. Although Rautavaara is doing a nice job. He's just pulling away ever so slightly from Manolis Sigalakis. He holds P4, which is exactly where he wants to be. And he is in fact pulling away quite nicely. Have a look to see what sort of gap he's got. Still quite a bit. I think at this rate, Rautavaara, should Rinjaho pit, Rinjaho would still be in front of his countryman. Here's Brugman. Soon to be overlapped. We have a brief yellow flag there. Not too sure what that was for. Mishra and Reed seem to be the culprits, so they might have just escorted each other off. Yes, in fact, they did. Reed just grabbing the rear wheel there as that was sketchy there. Lasky and Harvey just sneaking through. So Mishra continues on his way, allowing Lasky and Harvey to sneak up a position. Haymans here putting some pressure onto Omar Saeed. Won't be able to, and you can see the cars are already starting to light up a little bit. The movements are a bit quicker. It's a little bit more grip for the drivers out there. And in fact, there's a lot more for this man, Yola Rautavaara. The race is starting to come back to him a little bit. Seemed like it might just be strategy that had thrown him off the end of the bridge, but the car is coming back to him, the racetrack, fuel load, everything's coming back to him. And he's well in control in 4th place. Back to the front then. It is a big lead that Rinjaho has been able to pull out. Now then, as this track is going to begin to dry out, but it's taking its time to get there. And Rinjaho's fuel stint is definitely starting to decrease. It's going to be close as to whether the track will be dry enough to be able to go straight onto slicks. All of a sudden this race has started to get a little bit more interesting as we have another yellow flag. Bit more rain now. Oop, and James McNamara is off. Transmission problem seems to be the underlying cause, and that is the end of his season. Started off looking very good for the Australian. 2KF1 car did seem to be very strong, but it has fallen by the wayside, and that is a disappointing end to a disappointing season for her. Doesn't seem to be any marshals going out there to help the car. McNamara trying to do something there. Yep, there we go. Marshall running across the circuit. Now, where are they going to send us? Well, they seem to be getting it going the right way. So that is one less challenger there for Rout of Ara to have to worry about. As he's wheeled off. Ooh, big tank slapper right there for Yola Rout of Ara. Loses a lot of time. It was very close to just losing the car completely, as the cameras were just on him as he did that. So very close for Rout of Ara, but he holds on to it, holds on to his position. You wouldn't want to think how many positions he could lose. He could be down into about 10th with a DTK chasing him down. That is not something that he would want, that's for sure. So Sigalakis moves back up to a mere 7/10 behind the title chasing rival. Here comes Heymans, looking down the inside. Can he find anything? No, once again, not enough in that DCT to be able to pull past the Apex car. Toby Cadera has found himself inside the top 10 now. He's watching this battle eagerly. As now, Heymans, surely. There's a long way up. Will he be able to get under brakes? At this point, no, almost, not quite. Saeed will be able to hold position, and now Cadera will pounce onto the Belgian. Harvey, not that far behind. He's gotten himself past Lasky. There's Mishra there as well. Reed not too far behind. Rinho still pulling away from Deal. Deal still pulling away from Goddard, I would imagine. Yes, indeed. Ooh, Rinho is definitely starting to run out of fuel, but it does seem that there's a bit more water on the circuit. Saeed still continuing to hold Heymans behind. And slipstream from the Apex is enough to dissuade Cadera from being able to get past. Harvey will be looking to make up a lot of time as here we go, Rinho. He's going to have to come into the pits this lap. Oop, Nathan Corns. Sliding out a little bit there. Stefan Burner struggling through there. There's now Rinyaho's right onto the back of him. Be able to see now exactly how much of an advantage Rinyaho had made for himself. Because he has to look around the outside. Dangerous move there from the championship challenger, but he gets it done. Around he goes as yep, Matteo Heymans has pitted as well. So in comes Rinyaho. Pablo Deal and Mane Goddard surely won't be far away from having to do a pit themselves. Also, what sort of tyres are we looking at for Rinyaho? Another set of wets, it would seem. There you go, he will be out comfortably ahead of Rautavaara. Could just see him in the distance going through the pit lane exit. So Rinyaho comes out, that means Goddard and Deal won't be too far away. Goddard might be this lap even. It's definitely starting to get interesting here, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we have started lap 33. We are going to take a slightly more extended break, as per usual. Nonetheless, we will be back very soon. Do hope you'll be able to join us then.